Hi guys, Anton here from SA4x4 magazine. We're back with our recovery series this month, and this time we're talking about what should be in your bag. Now, today I've got again Bernie here from 4x4 Mega World. Bernie, how's it again?
Can you, Anton?
Can't complain, mate. Listen, tell us a little bit more. We want to know, what should the average oak have in his recovery bag? Can you take us through it?
The first principle of off-roading is we deflate for better traction. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about tires, and we could probably have a whole conversation and speak about tires for the next 6 months. The basic principle would be is we deflate the tire. Why do we deflate the tire? We're not making the tire wider. There's no way in hell that you can make a tire wider. It is what it is. You're making the footprint longer, so we deflate that. How do I do that? You can do the old-fashioned way with a stick, and you can start counting and use a tire pressure gauge, or alternatively, we have an ARB Deflator, okay? And new that we have at the moment is the digital one. Right, Anton, once we've deflated the tires, you now have another situation where your sidewalls are exposed, you're heading off-road. The chances of you picking up a puncture in the middle of the bush is very good. Sometimes, especially on trails when they clear the bush, there are little stubbies of trees that they cut off. Those things can cause punctures in an instant. Sharp stones, spinning on a rock, anything for that matter. So we want a decent puncture repair kit, and the one from ARB, it's quality equipment. It's going to last you a lifetime. This is my second one, and merely for the fact that I gifted my previous one to somebody that really needed one. So I've replaced it with a new one. And then on top of that, once I've now fixed the puncture, how do I reinflate that tire? I can't pray for a puff adder to come along and blow some air in the wheel.
I see you've got a little box here.
Yes, that's your ARB Portable Compressor. It comes complete in a box with its pump up kit, in other words the piping and everything you need. That's got crocodile clamps, it can hook onto your battery. You can use that to inflate the tires. Mine, it's been in the engine bay of this vehicle for more than 8 years. Never had a day's problem. It's been through the Delta, it's been to hell and back, and it's still running. And the nice thing of these compressors, if you do decide one day to fit an ARB locker to your vehicle, you can also use this compressor with minimal adaptation. They can use this as your compressor that you need to run your ARB diff lock system. So besides that, okay, I also need something now if I do happen to get stuck, to get myself extricated. And the easiest, and that we spoke about in the first video, would be a snatch rope. Now guys, yes, this is the easiest recovery in the world to do, but it is also the most dangerous recovery, because this is a violent recovery. And people have this total misconception that once I've hooked this to my car and to your car, I need to gun it as hard as I can, okay? And that's where the problem comes in, because you're putting everything under strain, all right? So have a look at when you do buy this. You'll see there it says Kinetic strap. It's 9 meters long, and it is rated at 8,000 kilograms, okay? Maximum vehicle mass is 2,000 kilograms. So in reality, I shouldn't be using this on my vehicle because I weigh more than that. You get a different one that's got a 10-ton breakage, which would probably be the ideal one. And to come back to what you said earlier, if it's a stronger strap, you're probably going to use more strain, etc. Not necessarily so. This is something that you need to learn to use, okay? There is a total misconception that people attach this to the vehicle, and they think if they put the weighted blanket on it in the middle of the strap that it's going to inhibit the kinetic energy when this comes flying.
But I've seen that not working, because you're putting it in the middle, and
that's not where the problem lies.
You still have the another half that's coming towards you.
That's where the problem comes in. Now normally when these straps do fail, it will fail here on the stitching, okay? Or otherwise, if the strap has been used too often, it's got fray marks and stuff like that, where it starts, the stitching actually starts to fray, and then that becomes a problem. That becomes a weak point in this.
Bernie, I see you've got a couple of shackles here. There's this little funny one that I know that they call a D shackle, but you've mostly got these other ones. Tell me, what's the difference, please?
Okay, this is for obvious reasons they call it a D shackle, because it's shaped like a D. This is what we call a bow shackle, because it has a bow. In essence, this is only rated to carry weight in one direction, so they use this for lifting, okay? This is not for towing. All right, so if you have this in your recovery kit and you think you're going to use this for your recovery, please do me a favor
and throw it away.
Okay, it's good for fishing though.
Sinkers?
Yeah, you can use it as a sinker. This is rated, okay? And obviously they come in different sizes. The one that is most suited for what we do in terms of off-roading and for the weight of our cars, 3¼ ton, and you'll see that it's not punched in there, because then somebody else could come along and make a rip-off of this, just make it cheapy and just punch it. It's not, it's actually part of the casting, okay?
Yeah.
And that's only the sizes 5/8. The reason for that is most recovery points, because that's about the size that the pin can go through there. The moment you go to the bigger shackle, the pin is too thick and it doesn't go through the actual hole of the recovery point. Now this is actually made to carry weight in any direction, okay? And that's the difference between that and a D shackle. Now the problem with a D shackle is, if I do use it as a recovery, for a recovery, and it gets the direction pull in a slight angle, it deforms completely, so you can't loosen it. Besides, the chances of it failing are a lot more. Whereas this, it can actually take the pull in any direction.
And should this be in your recovery kit if you've got the snatch rope?
You must have them. And then of course the latest and greatest now is soft shackles. Okay. Normally the braking strength of this, even though it's rated to 3¼ ton, is normally about 26, 27 times its actual rating. Whereas this is normally about 1.5 times its actual weight rating. But feel the difference in weight.
Yeah, this is going to make my vehicle a little bit lighter than if I've got 4 of these.
See, but that's not the issue. It's when I'm using a recovery and my recovery point fails. When this comes off, it becomes a projectile, whereas this will immediately lose its energy. Okay, I'm still very old school, I must be honest with you. In terms of trusting these for heavy recoveries, I still have to bridge that gap. I'm still very much a steel shackle guy.
In my experience, I've used these soft shackles a couple of times. I've actually recovered my vehicle with a caravan behind it with one of those soft shackles, and they do work amazingly. Another nice thing about it is if you put 2 ropes together,
you
that
can
is
use this
much nicer than
yeah.
using an extra projectile in the middle.
You don't ever join 2 ropes together with a shackle in the middle. Don't ever. You'll see that this one's got a sleeving on it, okay? And that's to protect it, because a lot of the recovery points on the vehicles have got sharp edges.
Yep.
So you want to try and protect it.
And I know that, like, similar to your synthetic ropes on your winches, they are very prone to get damaged when there's too much dust, mud. You need to keep them clean.
Keep them clean.
Correct.
And the same with your recovery straps and as such. Whatever you do, please don't wash it with soap. Ever. You wash it, you can put it in your washing machine and just wash it with normal clean water.
Rinse it.
And you don't dry it in the sun. They don't like UV rays. So you dry it in the shade. You do more damage to that strap to dry it in the sun than to put it back into the bag wet. So whatever you do, if you need to dry it, do not dry it in the sun. It needs to dry in the shade.
I think you've missed a very important piece.
The most important piece.
Gloves.
Looking after your hands. There's nothing worse than sitting in the bush and you've cut your hands, because sometimes it can happen. And the other thing is, you're not always stuck where it's dry. 9 out of 10 times it's mud. So you're keeping your hands clean in the process as well. Yes, you might dirty the steering or whatever, but at least your hands are clean and your hands are protected. Okay. I'm all for having a pair of gloves that sits very loose on your hand, because if it does get pinched, you can actually just slip your hand out. These gloves are awesome and they fit awesomely. To me, they're just a little bit that tight to get them off the hand quickly. But they're magnificent. They're from T-Max and they work like a charm.
This is also important when you're using a winch that's got a cable on it.
When you use a winch, you always use the gloves, always. And in fact, all your recoveries that you do, high lift jack, winching, snatch, anything that you do in terms of recovery, wear a pair of gloves, guys. It protects your hands, and there's nothing worse than having an inflamed injury in the bush.
Yeah, and I see these ones have got nice protection on the top of your fingers, so that if something hits you, you've got
often
some.
has your hand slipped and hit something and you sit with a nice wound in the middle of the bush. The other thing that I would suggest that guys, the moment they go to a snatch rope, is the safety harnesses that we will show to you how to attach them. Because where does it normally break? It breaks on either end. Okay, it's not in the middle of the strap, it will break on either end. That's where the failure happens. And that is just an extra safety feature that will actually help you so that the rope doesn't come flying. All right, and then also the bridle at the end of the day, that's, if I had to recover this vehicle at an angle, and it's quite a tense recovery and quite a hectic pull, I could actually bend my chassis by doing it at an angle. So all that does is actually spreads the weight across the chassis. So you don't just have the pulling on the one side of the chassis, it actually spreads it.
You want to start, what should be in your box? The spade.
Yes,
Definitely.
number one, spade.
Spade. Tire gauges.
Yes.
Tire repair kit.
Yes.
Compressor.
Yes.
From there you can start building. Then you start looking at your
Don't forget the deflator.
tire deflator, tire gauge. Fair
Okay.
enough. From there you can start building. You can have your kinetic straps or ropes. You can have your shackles. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Gloves. Always.
Gloves, always.
And then from there on you can build, and the possibilities are endless.
Endless. I mean, my recovery bag must weigh about 30, 50, 40 kilograms with everything that's in there. So yes, and indeed you can build and build and build on that as it goes. But once again, let's just go back to our very first chat that we had. Guys, safety always first. Safety first. No matter what it looks like, just safety, 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 safety. Make sure that your straps, everything that you buy, your shackles, everything are tested and they're rated. That is imperative. Because otherwise you're going to end up using stuff that is not tested, it's not rated, and you're going to put yourself in danger and your passengers.
Yeah. All straps should have a little
Yes.
tag like this, and it will show you exactly what it's rated for, when it was made, etc.
I call
Make
that
sure.
the birth certificate.
That's it. And that is what gives you comfort and
Yes.
make sure that you're not going to break anything when you use it.
That's it.
But yeah, guys, next couple of weeks we'll be chatting about everything that's here, what they're used for, how we're going to use it. So have a look on YouTube, watch out for us, have a look on Facebook, have a look in the magazine. Me and Bernie will be discussing everything. See you next time.